ready to kick off. We just have a few more. We just have a few more people that will be joining. All right, so we're right at the time to start. So in a moment, I'll introduce the panelists, but just before we kick off, I just want to make a couple of just a quick statements. Wanted to welcome everyone to today's webinar, and thank you all for joining us today. Before we dive in, there's just a couple of housekeeping notes that I want to make everyone aware of. This session is being recorded. You will receive a copy of this webinar recording generally within 24 hours. You'll also see a Q&A box, and feel free as we go through this, the next few slides, the next few minutes, feel free to enter any questions that you have. We'll work hard to try to address those during the FAQ or the Q&A portion of this call. If we're not able to answer your question during this call, we will send out responses to those questions, generally, again, within 24 to 48 hours to make sure that all questions are addressed. Since we do have just 45 minutes, we will move through the process to be mindful of everyone's time. And then also after the session is complete, we will send a survey. The survey is important to us to help make sure that this content stays relevant to you and what you're looking for. We do have a combination of individuals on this call that are joining us today that are existing clients as well as those that are not. And so some might be some client-specific information or is more relevant to them. Others might be relevant to those that might not be as aware of the solutions that the Berwyn Group offers. But with that, let's introduce the panelists. And so joining me today, I've got Laura Koza. Laura is Berwyn's Chief Product and Strategy Officer. Laura's role is around product creation, product enhancements, as well as drive a lot of the overall strategy in terms of the products and the processes that we implement. Also joining me is Mike Irie. Mike Irie is our Director of Operations. Mike's team is responsible for the work product, so the results that come from CertiDeath, for example. And then my role here is to MC this discussion, but within the organization, I manage our pensions division. These are individuals that are in the multi-employer, the public pension space. They can also be third-party administrators or record keepers as well, so a wide range of our clients. With that, let me go through a brief overview of the agenda. So what we want to cover today is really the data quality challenges that we see and that exist in the market. We do want to talk about the CertiDeath data enrichment process. That's really the context here. And then the reason why it matters. So how does it differ amongst the competitors that might be in this space? And more specifically, what does this mean to you? At the end, as mentioned earlier, we'll reserve some time for Q&A, but we will try to answer questions or implement questions along the way as those might be relevant. And then any questions that we do not get through today, we'll be sure to share those questions and answers within 48 hours. With that, let me turn it over to Laura Koza to talk about some of the data challenges that we see.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And thanks everyone for joining. Excited to be here to talk about this issue. When we think and talk about data quality, what we're referring to is both missing data as well as incorrect data that you might have for your participants or insureds. And we focus on the critical data identity elements that are used by our customers to administer their services. So that means the name, date of birth, SSN, and location data elements that are critical to your services being rendered appropriately. We serve thousands of clients and work with their data every day, so we wanted to share with you some of the insights that we found. Among our CertiDeath clients who uploaded new records in 2025, we found that more than 73% of those accounts had records with missing critical data elements. Nearly a quarter of those accounts had records with missing social security numbers. 38% of those accounts had records with missing dates of birth. And a full 2/3 of the accounts had records missing location data. So what does this mean? Poor data quality in pension plans and insurance companies, third-party administrators, is very common, as you can see from these statistics. But these data quality issues can result from a combination of historical, operational, technological, or human factors like time between touch points with your individuals, location changes, they might move frequently, or significant life events like marriage or divorce, as well as any data entry errors that all lead to data quality issues. These are also long duration financial products. They often span multiple decades, which also makes data degradation more likely to occur over time. Poor data quality in a pension plan. So what this means for you, especially missing or inaccurate personal data elements, can create serious operational, financial, regulatory, or participant experience problems. Pension administration, as many of you know, relies heavily on accurate identity and contact information to be able to determine eligibility, calculate benefits, communicate effectively with participants, and prevent fraud. It's also becoming much more increasingly important to have good data quality for not only the purposes of accurate benefit distribution, overpayment avoidance, and regulatory compliance, but also if you're considering a major transaction like a pension risk transfer or plan termination. Insurance companies require high quality participant data before accepting liabilities. Regulators require accurate participant identification as well. And for the insurance companies too, they depend heavily on accurate identity data because poor data quality can directly affect your profitability, your regulatory compliance, fraud prevention, and customer trust similarly. Policy data sits at the center of almost every insurance process: underwriting, pricing, claims, reserving, regulatory reporting, as well as customer servicing. So as insurers accumulate decades of policy data across multiple systems, data quality problems can create major financial and operational risks. We can go to the next slide. What we've seen is that there exists an industry gap. So others in the market work with the data as is provided by their clients. They make assumptions that it's as good as it can get. But as you saw in the prior slide, that's really not what the analytics prove out. Additionally, traditional death audit providers are inflexible. They need the data to be received in a very specific way. Otherwise, they'll miss a lot of deaths. So this means that if you're not diligent in ensuring the comprehensiveness of your death audit process, you're exposing yourself to risk and potential financial implications of that. So typical industry process, as indicated on the next slide, is that a death audit provider will leverage that client data as is, again, potentially inclusive of gaps or incorrect data. They'll perform an automated death matching process and then return the results. This introduces risk of missed deaths or errors based on that incomplete or incorrect data, as well as a simplistic death audit process. So I want to talk to you today about what's different about CertiDeath and what we continue to do from an enhancement perspective. Data is difficult to get right and powerful when you do. We know because we deal with it every day, and we've made significant investments over decades seeking perfection for the benefit of our clients. We see and understand the problem of data quality. We've been innovated to address it for our customers, and the latest innovation is called data enrichment. We've now incorporated the ability to enrich our clients' missing or correct data prior to beginning our death audit. This data is used internally to ensure the most comprehensive and accurate results for our death audit clients. And not only does this enhancement benefit our CertiDeath clients, but each of our flagship products, including CertiDeath and CertiCensus, also include a death audit component, which now incorporates this data enrichment step as well, prior to running that death audit. This enhancement is included at no additional cost for our clients and sets us apart from others in the industry because nobody else does this. So we wanted to show you a little bit more behind the curtain of our process. CertiDeath is now even more differentiated than before. We now include data enrichment enhancement prior to even beginning our comprehensive death audit process, which you can see indicated here in that top left box. This enrichment is conducted for all the records submitted by the client, which ensures the most comprehensive and accurate inputs. And Mike Irie can take it away to talk a bit about how this impacts our process and results.
Sure. Thanks, Laura. So as Laura mentioned, traditionally it was whatever the client provided to us with a name, date of birth, location, or SSN would dictate what we matched on. And if you provided us somebody's first and last name, we would look for an obituary with that first and last name. What we noticed was, as Laura mentioned, data issues can occur when clients don't have that data that they're looking for various different reasons. And thus, we were missing on making any matches to return results. So the data enrichment would help fill in those gaps with correcting first and last name, correcting missing locations, et cetera, to allow us to make that match in the first place. And then it would come to the review queue, and if it still didn't match, then we'd go out and retrieve additional data to help find additional data points for us to make a determination if the obituary or state or DMF hit was valid or not. So that data enrichment part really helped us solidify where data was missing in gaps to make matches in the first place. And it helped us make more matches. And Mike, if you go to the next slide. As you can see here, we have over 1,500 accounts, and 73% were missing key data points, as Laura called out earlier. And when we went back and applied this process at the end of last year and a little bit into this year, we found that about 35% of our clients received the benefit of finding more deaths because we were able to fill in those missing gaps and find validations. And over 7,000 additional deaths were found because of that. It was of great value to those clients because we wouldn't have been able to find it otherwise because we didn't know that what we were looking for previously. And Mike, if you go to the next slide. So I want to give you some scenarios on what this means. If you are missing the date of birth, we will help fill that in. A quick clarification, if you provide us a date of birth, we won't change it. Where this comes into play is if clients put placeholder dates of birth. We oftentimes see clients put 1/1/1900, 1/1/1970, common placeholders within computer systems over the time. If you have placeholder data, we would prefer that you don't provide that placeholder data, especially in the date of birth. Allow our system to go out and try to find that date of birth and plug it in. And then we can make matches on it. If you do give us placeholder data on the date of birth, we will be looking for somebody with that name and that date of birth, which could provide false positives or bad matches. The second scenario around names, if you didn't give us a first or last name or put something in the wrong column, we can go ahead and fix that. And what we were able to see in our previous scenario was that actually occurred quite a bit. And we know data can become imperfect, and sometimes we will see a suffix put in the last name column. So someone with the last name of Junior or the second or the third. Obviously, you're not going to find any matches on an obituary like that, but when we were able to enhance it and put in the last name, such as Smith or Johnson, then we can make a match to allow ourselves to validate it. We saw first names as spouse of or estate of. And again, those are just common ways that people put placeholder data when they might not have the data on file. So we're able to actually put in the actual first name. We saw it where first and last names got flipped by mistake. We were able to correct that and make a match. Other scenarios where they didn't have a location, we were able to put in that location and make a match to an obituary as well. So really just some real world examples of common placeholder data or data getting put in the wrong columns that caused bad matches previously have now been fixed, and we're able to make the correct matches because we can enrich the name rather than using the data given to us within names and locations. So some real big impacts for that. Mike, if you want, or Laura.
Yeah, so what this means from a competitive standpoint, you can go to the next slide and I'll talk about what sets CertiDeath apart. So we at the Berwyn Group, we're always striving for perfection. We've built a comprehensive solution that leverages a variety of capabilities that are really unmatched elsewhere in the industry. So we've spoken today about our proprietary data enrichment enhancement at length, and that ensures the highest quality data inputs to our industry-leading death audit process. But we also have a number of other advantages over others in the market. We have an unrivaled set of proprietary data sources, including our independently sourced obituary data. We built the capability to retrieve these records directly from obituary sites, funeral homes, newspapers, etc., and we maintain that historical database with this rich data. We're not dependent on any other provider for those obituaries, which protects us from the risk of single source death data. You also heard Mike talk about our death audit process and the rigor employed, which is not only through our advanced algorithms, which has been refined over years of experience, but also the human validation component that we deploy is unrivaled, unmatched in the industry, and that helps us catch those unique cases that no one else can find. This is the standard we've set for ourselves and what we believe is the expectation you should have for those who serve you. So while we continue to invest our resources to find new ways to serve our clients, and data enrichment is just the latest evidence of that, we're committed to bringing you the most comprehensive and accurate results so that you can best serve your stakeholders. And we think that that's a standard that you should hold everyone to. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mike S.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Mike Gyree, as well. So I just want to summarize really quick. So we covered a lot of information fairly quickly, but I want to touch on a couple of things. So as a current user, there's a couple of things that you should know. The data enrichment process is live now. This is something that our clients that are CertiDeath clients do get the benefit of. This doesn't cost more. This isn't an add-on service. This is part of the solution. What you might find is an increase in identified deaths due to these enhancements. So as Mike and Laura touched on, the enrichment process happens at the beginning. And so as that data is then enriched, we are likely to find deaths because the enriched data is able to provide those matches. And so you will see that benefit, and you might have already seen that benefit. This will also be applied in some cases to older deaths. So this could be due to a name or an individual that's in your population that could have died in the past. And because of the data that you had or that was in the file was inaccurate or incomplete, historically that data or that death might not have been matched. With the enrichment process, it is now able to be matched. And so very positive. It helps make sure that the completeness of the data, and our goal is to deliver those measurable outcomes to you. From a perspective standpoint, so if you are not a current user of the CertiDeath solution, things to think about. As Laura and Mike highlighted, data quality issues are a reality. It's not a maybe, it happens. And so we see this time and time again. Has been stated previously, we process millions of records each month across thousands of clients. This is a consistent challenge that our clients deal with. So thinking about how your current provider, or if you're evaluating providers, how that current provider addresses data quality issues proactively. So not on the back end, but on the front end. How confident are you in the completeness of your participant data? We talked a lot about the CertiDeath solution and data enrichment specifically. Berwyn does offer solutions in project base as well as ongoing proactive solutions that help identify and address proactively and from a project by project standpoint, those missing data elements. Also thinking about what you could be missing because of those incomplete or inaccurate records. As a plan sponsor or as a third-party administrator or as an insurance company, those are all elements that can be very impactful, either if you're doing something from a de-risking perspective, or if you're doing participant outreach, if you're even managing the operational costs and sending out a letter and having that come back. These are all things to think about and making sure that the data that you have within your census file, within your participant file, is as accurate as it can be. And then I just wanted to capture this as well, is CertiDeath was created based on delivering measurable outcomes for our clients. Originally launched 8 years ago, it is the largest and most comprehensive death audit solution in the industry, bar none. And that is really determined and based on the value that our clients see in the back end. So with that, I want to turn it over and ask the panelists just a couple of questions. And so one of the questions, and Laura, I'll point this to you. One of the questions is, with the enrichment process, as a client of CertiDeath, do I get the enriched data back, or is that just managed internally through the CertiDeath process?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question. So as part of the data enrichment, that process is done internally with Berwyn. We do not today return that data. We are not changing, we're not replacing your data. So that's a clarification I want to make. We're not replacing your data. We are enriching it. We're enhancing it. But today that is used internally for purposes of the death audit process. We do not return that to you. However, we do have solutions like our data cleanse solution, which would be utilized if that's something that you're interested in getting back. Today, we just use it internally for the death audit process.
Fantastic. And then you talked about the replacement of the data. That was a question that came up as well. So just to reemphasize that, your data is not replaced. So if you send us information, it is not proactively replaced. So just to make sure that that is clear. Do you report, or did you provide any reporting on the data enrichment changes? So for example, if 20% of the population was enriched, do you provide that statistic back?
We do not today. We have the ability to run some of that type of analytics, but we don't have that as part of the data enrichment process under CertiDeath today. But that's something that we could do as part of like the data cleanse product.
And then one of the things that I know with CertiDeath, we proactively track the false positive rates and work closely with our clients on that. Any
Yes.
statistics or any information that you can share with respect to false positives? Has that metric stayed consistent? Has that changed?
Yeah, so I appreciate that question as well, because we do hold ourselves to the highest standard and with respect to accuracy, and I'm happy to say that we have not seen a material change to accuracy as a result of this data enrichment process. So you can expect the same level of accuracy with the additional comprehensiveness that comes from this data enrichment enhancement.
And I'll just plug in there too. So as a client of CertiDeath, you do have a dedicated client success manager that would work with you. And so if there are any questions in terms of a false positive or the data that might be enriched, please direct those questions to your dedicated client success person, and they can walk you through that as well. And then another question, as Berwyn has solutions that does outreach to participants to confirm address or to confirm a beneficiary, is there any proactive outreach as part of the enrichment process, or is it just data that's being enriched?
Yeah, so as part of the data enrichment process, we do not do outreach to any individuals. That's again utilizing the data that we have in-house to use that internally. But as part of our other locate portions and different products that we have on the locate side, we do more proactive outreach on those products. But that's separate from the data enrichment enhancement that we're talking about here.
And I just want to clarify this as well. Maybe Mike Irie, I'll turn this question over to you, so I won't answer it. We spend a lot of time talking about enriching participant data and then also talking about the obituary component. Mike Irie, can you speak a little bit to the other sources, like high-level sources of death that we pull in? We mentioned obituaries or a funeral home website, but can you talk a little bit about like state data, death master file, for example?
Yeah, so this helps in all areas and all matching, whether it's the limited access death master file, whether it's any state sources we get direct from, all of that data that we get to clean up allows us to make better matches. And then when we think of obituaries, whether it comes from a funeral home website, whether it comes from an aggregator site, whether it comes from a grave site, Any one of those sites that we have access to, and there's many others I didn't list, all get the benefit of clean data on the input to then make the match to any one of those sources. So it goes across our entire death source library.
Perfect. Well, I want to take the moment to thank Laura and Mike for participating actively in this webinar, and I want to thank you all for joining us as either clients. We appreciate your continued business, or as individuals curious on Berwyn Group and the CertiDeath data enrichment process. We appreciate your interest. Please do continue to submit questions. We will work to answer those questions again within the next 48 hours. Likewise, as an attendee of this webinar, we will provide a recording of this webinar along with the slides to you. If there are any questions that exist, there will be a contact information on there as well, so we'll be able to connect with you, or you'll be able to connect with us as well. But with that, I wanted to again thank everyone for joining and appreciate your time and interest. And with that, we'll close this webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.